without you can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey yo.
Oh goodness, it's already starting.
Oh, is that Remy's music?
No, she didn't even. She came out to no music. She was like, nope.
Who the hell told her it was open mic night, bitch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, every night. She doesn't need to be told. Man,
I love that. Oh,
Remy.
that's so funny.
Ay.
It's Sunday. This is usually we record on Saturdays, but your boy had to go celebrate love yesterday. Two of my best friends actually just got engaged yesterday, so give a shout out to them. I was just at their house today watching the Masters with them, and it's nice, to be celebrating that type of stuff. So we had to go do that yesterday, hanging out with all my peeps, and it was after serving said peeps in Boston, as Remy is just really trying to get in the way of my promo here. It's really. Do you want to say something, Rems? What's going on? You're getting in the face of the best of the West.
She pulled out my headphones.
Oh, it's so rude. It's
Yeah,
so rude, Remy. You're such a heel. You're such a heel.
Stop it, Rams.
But all in the middle of that, I did find some time to check out. Why am I saying catch? Check out Smackdown, and then rewatch it today as well. And we'll be talking about that today. And I mean, we had to switch the time up, but we had peeps already in the chat, starting with Vinny. He's what's up? What's up to you? Unhinged main event. Exactly. You thought he was late, but because we pushed to 7:00 and it's 7:15 now, Jay says it's showtime. And also, what's up? Bernard's here. What's going on? How we doing? David per usual. And Sarah, I'm not gonna lie, I tweeted this. I think this is a good segue into the main course. As I tweeted this after rewatching it, that where'd I go? What? Hello?
I hear you now.
All right, that was rude. The first 15 minutes of SmackDown, I think, were some of the best television that I've watched in quite some time, because if you really paid attention to it, everything lined up and it was not like it all connected. You know what I mean? Like starting off with Cody in the ring, and then he announces the matches for tonight or for the episode, and then he's mentioning how my good friend Kevin Owens will be participating, and then when the Bloodline go to what they think is their locker room, Kevin Owens is walking in because he's a friend of Cody. Like just little stuff like that, just little nuances that you wouldn't really have or even have thought of in the past era is now becoming a regularity with the programming. It's just so refreshing. It really is.
All right, well, let's just go straight into
All right, cool.
What
All
you're
right,
talking about. So we get Cody Rhodes to kick off SmackDown because he's still on his, sorry, I had a spelling error. Because he is on his victory lap, which we love to see. Because Mania was only a week ago, which is crazy because to me it feels like it was way longer ago, and I was there, so that's insane. So he just comes out, asks what we want to talk about, of course, discusses the Rock segment interruption that we saw on Monday, and addresses how awkward it was, which was nice because we all were chanting "This is awkward," because it kind of was an awkward moment.
It was pretty awkward.
But he did call him out as well. Hence the banner here, where he quoted his wife Brandy when he says, "Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?" And I love how he's like so uncomfortable swearing, at least on TV. Like, I don't know if he swears in his everyday life, but the fact that he's like so uncomfortable swearing on TV.
Yeah, it was. He felt so bad. It was
it's so
funny
because he's like, "I'm sorry," and it's like, come on, really? Like,
No, you're not.
It's fine. It's fine.
Watch the BTEs with him in it when he's swearing and stuff. That man is he's just so good in front of a camera. He's incredible.
So, he just continues talking about the situation with The Rock, and he alludes to The Rock handing him back something that we now know, or what we now believe is the Rolex that he gifted The Rock, because he gifted Rolexes to The Rock and to Roman Reigns before WrestleMania. So I think that's what he handed to him. But
he called it.
Cool. I called bigger stuff, so that's okay.
All right,
I predicted the entire storyline a year in advance, honey. I am not giving you credit for something.
Well, all right, I'm sorry. I know we're gonna be giving you credit later in the show.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna start the movement. #Sara knows ball.
Yeah.
I think we have to, because we'll go. You know what? I don't want to go anymore because I want to save that for it. But little teaser. But...
Okay. Yeah. So he mentions that The Rock said, okay, I will be back. Like, I got to go and do my Hollywood thing. From what we know, I think he's like booked the rest of the year. So we probably won't see The Rock at any point this year.
No,
or if we do, it'll be like a one-off that has no physicality in it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. So Cody says, that's cool. That's cool, boy, because I'll be here and I'll be waiting for you. And in the meantime, we're going to be doing a number one contenders tourney, basically, to determine who I will be facing at Backlash in France. And that is when he announces that we will see 2 triple threat matches on the show, one of which is Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. And the other is Rey Mysterio versus Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles.
My dog.
So first of all, we need to give a shout out to WWE, but also for Cody Rhodes, okay? Because I'm going to give this man his flowers as long as I want, okay? Don't care about the haters, but this was the 18th consecutive sellout show for WWE, and Cody Rhodes is a big part of that. So shout out to you, Cody. Shout out to you, Triple H. Shout out Paul Levesque era, okay? Shout out to you guys, because that was
good
great.
Shit.
As you could even see, like, even though the stage was different than what it was on Raw, it was still condensed. It was still smaller. So, and they're gonna keep going with that, which I'm fine with. Honestly, I'm like, that's fine. Like, I think that's cool because then you can fit more people. Anyway, so I'm fine with Cody doing this. I like that he's going to be doing a number one contenders thing. I think it makes sense because you would assume that Roman would be the first rematch, you know, like, but we know that Roman's not going to be back until August. So I kind of like that they're taking like some of the people from Mania and they're going to give him like a big match at Backlash, which, I mean, he is on the poster and it's a sick poster. So
it's a really cool poster. I'm a big fan of the poster this year.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And it should be a really good show because it's in France.
It's in France.
They're a really good crowd. So
France, a good crowd. Sorry, I just go.
Okay. So what did you think? Do you have any thoughts about like who they chose to be in these triple threats? Like,
you know, my thoughts were, I mean, it was nice. The only things that I would have said, like, okay, I know why they're putting them in there. Like Rey Mysterio, I know he's not going to win. He's like, I got one more. But like, you're not going to put him in there or be, you know, against Cody. Santos Escobar, it seemed like an oddball, but it was nice that they gave him that, you know, push, whatever you want to call it. You know, spotlight, I think is a better word. To be in that match, it shows where they view him moving forward. And those triple threat matches too are just such an easy way to create, you know, grudge feuds or grudge matches and stuff like that, rivalries, whatever the case may be. And, you know, they did a good job with that. And for Cody, right now, he's just became champion. You know, there's no one that he has been feuding with that it could carry over because he already won the championship. So when you have fresh ground like that and a clean slate, it's really batter up. There's no open challenge because everyone's just fighting to get at the top of the list to begin with.
Yeah, I liked it because it just shows you how long these people have been waiting in line to even get a
Yeah.
shot at the title, because all of these guys have either had their shot when Roman was champion or they weren't like big enough, to
Yeah.
be challenging him. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And I think that that's a great way for Cody to start his reign, because that was a huge blemish, I would say, on the SmackDown brand, because there were so many guys there that were trying to, go after the title on the show, but they really couldn't, because they were, it was being held by a guy who had been holding it for 3.5 years. So I like that. And I think it'll be interesting to see if that continues. But I do like who they picked, especially some of the ones that Cody has history with, like Rey Mysterio. Guys, don't even get me started on the Rey Mysterio versus undashing Rey Mysterio or undashing Cody Rhodes. Okay. Great Mania. That was a Mania match. Very good.
Kevin Owens, that would have been a good feud.
I feel like a lot of these would have been great matches. Honestly, that's the thing that got me excited, is I feel like I would have been content with him facing any of them, because like AJ Styles, which is possible, we'll get into that. Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, Bobby, LA Knight, Santos,
Bobby
like those would all be great matches.
Bobby would have sneaky slapped. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well at least they picked like good people, and I feel like they made the most sense. Like the only other one I would say you could throw in there was Randy, but like unless you're gonna give it to Randy, then I don't think that it. Yeah, they have to.
They're saving that one.
Yeah,
I was thinking that too, actually, but they're saving it.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. And then we move on to, because he does talk about the bloodline, even though The Rock wasn't there and Roman wasn't there, of course. First of all, before we even get into what happened, I'm honestly kind of pleasantly surprised that they had the bloodline such a big part of this episode of SmackDown, because you assumed that, okay, Roman lost. We already know Roman's taking a break. Like, he's not even scheduled, at least as of now, until the SmackDown before SummerSlam. So that's 4 months away. And so you kind of assume, like, okay, maybe they're all going to be taking a break, or they're going to at least be off TV for a little bit. And so I really like that they were involved like right away. And I think this segment like set the tone immediately about what direction they were going to go in, because I mean, I think it would be fair to assume that they were going to be trying to seek revenge against Cody. And that's not what's going on.
No, it's not. The crazy thing about that, and going off your point, I'm shocked that it went so well with how the next chapter of the bloodline seems to be going to be going. Sorry. When they kicked off the show, when you think about it, the bloodline run SmackDown. They just that it's their show. And Cody, it's not his show. Raw and SmackDown are his show. You know what I mean by that? Like whatever. So and because the bloodline is so hot right now, and probably one of the best stories we've seen in the past few decades of wrestling, you want to find a way to keep it going. And because of the lineage that they have right now and the momentum, they can keep going with it. And I love this. I love the way they're going about it. And I do like too that Paul laid out why. Like, Solo got mad.
Yeah.
And Paul laid out why. And it's little stuff like that where, the old era would be like, well, they want you to know that there's consequence. Like, no, just say it. Like, just say it. It doesn't matter. Like, it actually validates it and makes us more invested when you recognize, that you lost. And you have to just put your hands up and say, like, it's our fault. We got to take accountability.
Yeah. So I like that we see that they try to go to their typical dressing room that has been reserved for the bloodline. And now it is reserved for Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens walks in, tells him like, oh, there's a broom closet over there. They are so thrown off. And Solo's like, okay, I'll take care of it. And Paul is like, no, there are pros to winning, obviously, and there are bad things that come with losing. Roman lost, so we're going to have to deal with the consequences. This just means that we're going to have to make sure that we bring that title back to the bloodline, and then we can get our dressing room back. And he says that was an order from the tribal chief. So that immediately was just like, oh, okay, like the changes are already coming. So yeah, so I was intrigued already, you know, and we'll get into the in-ring segment shortly. But before that, let's get to the contenders matches. The number one contenders matches for Cody's title. First we saw was Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. And I feel like these matches went as you expected. Like, the people that were involved, you knew were going to put on a good match. So again, this is a great match. Like, I don't know, there's only so many things that you can say about like solid and good matches. Obviously the Tower of Doom with Lashley power bombing
I love that
Santos
spot. I'm a big fan of that spot.
Yeah, I do think sometimes we see it too often, and I think with that we've been seeing it kind of a bit lately in WWE. However, I mean, you enjoy it like every time, but it's just like, you know. So I did enjoy it. There was chaos, of course, because we saw the interference of Angel and Humberto and Elektra, but the Street Profits came out, so did B-Fab, and eventually LA Knight was able to win. So then we knew from that moment, basically, okay, we kind of know who's going to win the second one, right? Because
they have to have a rematch.
Yes, but before that, you already alluded to it. Rey Mysterio was in a backstage segment with the LWO, and he talks about how, you know, he's getting ready for this match, blah, blah, blah. But he talks about how he has another run in him as the WWE champion. And I was like, do you really think so? I needed to ask you this. I'm like, do you really think that they're going to give him another title run?
No, this was just talk. They threw him. Yeah, it was just all cheap talk. This is just a promo that they're having backstage, and the whole LWO is there. And actually, this is the headline that I see from this interaction. If you look at what they're wearing, everyone's wearing in that promo or the backstage interview. Everyone's wearing LWO shirts except for one person, and it's Carlito. And before this interview, they showed the interview with the Legado Fantasma, and everything that Kayla was saying about, them, the loss, and then attacking Rey Mysterio, like, whoa, we lost, and we're gonna go back, but we didn't touch Dragon Lee, like we didn't touch him. And then when Kayla brings that up to them, and they're like, oh, did you notice Carlito? So the Carlito was trying to like play, whoever it is, like we're gonna beat him up and all that. Telltale sign.
He's gonna go beat himself up in the bathroom, liar style.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Like, he's going to do this type of stuff, and it's little details like that are kind of rewarding the fan for watching so diligently that you wouldn't see, beforehand. And that is what I love about this, and actually makes me want to watch this random triple threat a lot more, because you just don't know is he going to come in? Is he going to screw it? Is he going to try to help him and accidentally screw? Like, it makes Rey Mysterio's spot in the match feel way more important than if it was just like, yeah, Rey Mysterio's gonna try to have another title run.
Yeah, I think it was probably more so his US title run was probably the last one, because I feel like we're kind of beyond that. That feels like a Vince thing to do, to be like, okay, let's honor you by having you, be the champion for a bit, which I wouldn't be mad at necessarily, but I feel like the title means a bit more than that now, where it's like he's already been put into the Hall of Fame. Like, I'm pretty sure
what else more do you want?
Yeah, I feel like that's bigger than just giving him the title. So, yeah, I would assume, like you said, this is just talk. And I think that him versus Carlito, or, whatever, I think that's going to be like,
that's going to be a great
way more interesting than seeing another Rey Mysterio title run. Like, no offense, Rey, but
he is a one-time WWE champion.
Yeah.
People forget.
Well, wasn't he only World Heavyweight champion?
No, he was WWE.
Oh, okay.
For like 1 week.
Let's see. Yeah, so Christopher says, I love when Kevin Owens said there was a broom closet they could use as a locker room. Funny. Yeah. He's another one that I think is I think I mentioned this. I think that he's thriving with Triple H in charge.
Oh, benefiting so much from Triple H being in charge.
Yeah. Okay, so the other comments we're gonna get to that stuff, so I don't want to address it yet.
Fair.
Then we see Kevin Owens. He has a little backstage segment. He just, like as I said, he's thriving because he's just hilarious. So he's in the back, and Byron Saxton wants to talk to him. But then he's like, you know what? Actually, is it cool if I take the mic and we just kind of do these cool camera shots where they follow me in the back? And Saxton's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So he takes the mic, and then he sees the Detroit Tigers championship title, decides that he's going to use that as well. Also throws off CM Punk's shirt from the table, and I was like, I see that. I saw you.
That was so funny. I chuckled a little bit.
And then as he's walking, he's just talking about his match and how he's going to have to face Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles. And he's like, you know what? Me and Rey, we have some things in common. Like, we both have sons that are taller than us. And but the biggest thing is Dominic sucks and my son's cool. So that's, different. And I was like, yeah. And he towers over you because Kevin's son is 6'8", and he's only 15.
Oh, it's 6'8"?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like 6'4".
No, I think he's 6'8". He's like a giant already.
I wonder if he wants to get into the business.
I don't know. If he does, it's kind of like limiting when you're that big, though. You know what I mean?
It can be, but in this day and age, it's not they take your size into consideration. But if you can do those types of moves, then they're not going to tell you no because you're a big man. Which
it almost might be like beneficial to be a second generation superstar and not be like anything like your father or mother.
1,000%.
Because I think that if you are similarly built or whatever, then they just expect you to be like the second coming of your parents or whatever. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, well, clearly if he's 6'8", let's say he gets to 6'10" or 7 foot or whatever, it's like he can't be Kevin Owens, So it's like you don't have to worry about that. Kevin then goes on to say him and AJ Rey Mysterio and AJ are standing in his way. So he's going to go into this match and kick both of their asses. Okay. And then we get into that match. So whoever wins this match has to face LA Knight. And that's how we already knew. Okay. But the same thing, they had a cool spot in this match too. The Styles clash off the second rope.
Oh my God.
Onto
incredible.
Onto Kevin. That was pretty cool. And so AJ wins. We see that AJ is going to face LA in a rematch, a WrestleMania rematch to face Cody at Backlash. But something that I saw that I thought was crazy, because, that's fine with me. I don't really care. We're probably going to get Cody Rhodes versus LA Knight. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. Yeah. But what I saw on Twitter is something that I was kind of surprised about, because people were like, AJ really put those people to shame that said he was washed. I'm like, who the hell has been saying AJ Styles is washed? I haven't seen that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I was like, I haven't seen a single person say that. Are they really saying that?
Okay, I was going to ask another question, but I'm going to put that on the shelf for a second and address this, because you were going off about something else that was ridiculous before we hopped in the yard here, and that flabbergasted me. This flabbergasts me even more, because you don't come at my king, okay? You don't come at AJ Styles, who may be one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time across all promotions. And the fact that he is doing what he's doing at this age, yeah, he's not going to be 2005 AJ Styles, having classics against Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe.
He's 2 months away from 47.
Yeah, the fact that he did an Avalanche Styles clash onto Kevin Owens, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
But even before that, though, I didn't see any sign of him look. And he's in the best shape, I think, of his entire career. You might be able to say when he was 25 he was, but it's like, dude was off TV for months, comes back jacked more than ever, and he's been putting on totally fine matches. I'm just really confused where this came from. And I know that sometimes people will say these things. Maybe they saw one person say it, or they're just trying to get reactions, so they're going to say something outlandish as if they've actually seen it being said just to get interactions. Because I'm like, I know that I'm not like fully immersed in professional wrestling Twitter because I would say most of it is probably like 25% to 75% Patriots, but like I haven't seen anyone say this about AJ Styles, and I'm like, okay, this was
I'm
just that was out
fully
of nowhere for me. That was
I'm
completely out of nowhere.
fully in. Yeah, that is completely out of nowhere. I'm fully immersed in wrestling Twitter at this point, to the point where my friends actually ask me trending stuff online, and I don't know what they're talking about because I'm so engulfed in wrestling Twitter,
Yeah.
and I still have yet to see this. So that boggles my mind, and you continue to do that to me today, Sarah. So good job, boggling my
Yeah.
mind.
I would just
Just
assume
crazy.
it's like people who don't like the character or something because I'm like, I
What
don't
do you think of
really
his theme song? That's what I will say. Maybe that's like the only watch, but I don't not like it. You know, like I
I'm
don't.
I think I have to hear it more, honestly. I think I'm kind of unsure about it at this point. I was really
Fair.
disappointed at Mania because I really wanted to hear it. You don't want no, I wanted to hear
Mhm.
that. And I knew that the new theme was coming, so I don't know why I even like got into a
You don't know why you hyped yourself
headspace
up.
where I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're going to hear it." No, I'm not.
No, you're
Um
not.
I think for right now, I think it's the same issue that I have with nearly almost every Def Rebel song is why is the volume so low?
That's so true.
Like, why is it so low? Like, you have to really listen. I would say it's more specifically like the newer Def Rebel songs that have the volume issue.
Newer. Yeah, newer.
Yeah, because obviously, like Gunther is a Def Rebel one, and that one's fine. But like, I'm just really thrown off about that, and so that kind of takes away from the vibe of it.
Mhm.
It's like I don't even remember what it sounds like, really. Like, and I just I want to get back to that point, and I've said this a million times. I want to get back to the point where you can hear a theme song and then you immediately know who it is. I don't like
Yeah,
having to look at the screen or listen to commentary to try and figure out who's coming out because
fair.
and that's how a lot of these newer Def Rebel songs are. Like you can't figure out who it is. So, yeah.
It
Uh,
is tough. But
do you want to?
apparently the cadence of how it's sung is the same as Evil Ways, is TNA one.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe like if that's the case, because I haven't heard it, I've tried to listen closely, but I just haven't got it.
Yeah.
Um, but if that's cool, but yeah, I'm not really into the Def Rebel ones anymore at all. So
I think
explain what Friday or Monday is with Sammy and Gable. So
I
tell
think
me
I
that.
I think he I think that it's when I slip saying LA Knight versus Cody. I think it depends on who it is, honestly, because we're seeing that more. It's like when we had two heels against each other, we had Imperium versus Judgment Day. You actually had people cheering for Judgment Day. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
it depends on the face because I feel like Sammy's so over right now and Gable's kind of like, and this could end up being some sort of feud where like we could see Gable turn heel.
Mhm.
So um I don't know. I think that if you put like Cody versus LA Knight, like that's problematic. But like, a Sammy versus Chad Gable, like I feel like that's fine.
Oh, it's
That's just
gonna
me.
slap anyways, but that's what you get with face for face
Yeah.
matches that you wouldn't think would be good, but then you actually look at it and you're like, oh, those two would put on a hell of a performance.
Yeah.
What are the other ones? AJ sucks. Bailey's is good.
I like Bailey's and Bailey's
Bailey's is
is
good.
getting kind of a mixed reaction surprisingly. But
Really?
yeah, I saw that on Twitter and I was like, "Really? I feel like hers is one of the better ones." And like I get how it could kind of sound a little bit generic because it really is just like rock music and there's no words to it, but like I didn't love the damage control theme, so I was just fine with that one being gone. um, but maybe it's the way that they presented her new theme at Mania that like made me like it more because I just liked how she was like being treated like an Egyptian queen and
Mhm. Mhm. Are you here? Okay. Earth to Sarah. Hello. Are you there? Sarah is not responding, or maybe I'm not. Maybe Sarah's frozen. Okay, so Sarah's frozen, not me. All right. So let's do. And Sarah's internet went out, so that is just incredible. Yeah. While she goes to fix that, I am going to entertain the peeps here in the comment section. Vinny, I loved Bobby Roode's song "Glorious." Okay, I'm not even kidding. I think I used to use that as an alarm clock. I used Nakamura's in college. Ask my buddy John Franklin on the circle. He was my roommate, and oh man, he hated that because Nakamura's theme song would wake you up. Yeah, Sarah's frozen. We're right back. Oh, Vinny did see the Cody Rhodes song on saxophone. It was so good. Oh, it was so good. Uh, my name is Michael, and I'm watching a cast. Hey, Julian, Michael, Julian, whatever your name is. We're happy you're here. That's all that matters at the end of the day. I am going to text Sarah the StreamYard link ahora mismo so we can record. There we go. Bum, 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 bum. See, I'm even humming the Bailey theme song right now. Jay's got a question for the champ. You think Money Inc. with Million Dollar Man IRS should be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I absolutely think they should. They were a hell of a faction, and I don't know if the IRS is. Oh, spin the bell, Vinny. I got you, fam. Oh, hold on. Let me hide that. Let's do that. Yeah, spin that bell. Let's go. But back to this. I think that they will be one day. The vignettes that they used to do, and all the shit they used to do with paying people to do tricks, and that video, the clipping that they did with the kid bouncing and dribbling the basketball, and then he kicked it. Like on the 99th, he had to dribble it 100 times, and he kicked it on the 99th one. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, look who's big, bro. Look who's big.
God, so annoying.
Spin that belt.
Okay.
Spin that belt. What's up?
All right.
What's going on?
Hopefully my internet will continue to cooperate. So
Let's fingers crossed, everybody. Fingers crossed.
All right. So let's move on.
Get back on track.
Wait, hold on. I was like talking to my sister. It's working now. Okay. All right. So we see Paul Heyman in the Bloodline. They go out to the ring to discuss just the current state of the Bloodline. Just whatever. He says that straight from the tribal chief, there are not going to be any excuses made for him losing at WrestleMania. They are going to take accountability. Instead of blaming the fact that John Cena came out to help Cody, Jey Uso came out to help Cody, and The Undertaker came out to help Cody. They're not going to talk about it because you know what? They are taking responsibility, which I love that too. I like that part because obviously it's an easy gripe for anybody to have when they lose a match, and it could be because of the help of somebody else. You can't use that in this instance because it was bloodline rules. Bro, you had people
Yeah, you know what you're doing. You knew exactly what you were doing.
He didn't even mention Seth, but that's okay. But yeah, so it's like I like that we're kind of maturing in that way. And maybe it's just in this storyline we could go back to the like typical road that wrestling goes down where it's like, I'm mad that you had someone to help and you had 14 of them to help you too. But in this storyline, I do like that we're like beyond that. So I enjoyed that. He does mention that Seth does come out, that Roman should have hit Cody with the chair instead of Seth, but he had 10 years of aggression built up inside him, and he needed to seek revenge on Seth, especially when he saw that steel chair. So that is why he was like, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. Bro, you came in here dressed as the Shield. I'm having PTSD flashbacks. I'm going to hit you with this steel chair. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. Because shout out to Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins is a GOAT. That was almost better than seeing him come out as Rocky Maivia, although I still would have loved.
I would have loved that, but the Shield and how they did it,
Yes.
it made
Well,
that go
if he
away.
had come out to as Rocky Maivia night 1, that would have been
That's what,
cool.
yeah, that would have been cool. That's what,
Yeah.
we're referring to.
But this is when things start to get interesting and when Sara starts to become a witch. So that is when
Yeah, go
Solo
off.
decides he's gonna cut off Mr. Paul Heyman. And Paul looks shook for the first time in the evening. And he says, if winning and losing matters, there are consequences to losing, right? Paul's just like, yeah. And he said, okay, consequences lead to change. And that is when he looks over at his big bro, Big Jim. And Jimmy's all like, what? Me? Huh? Who? What? Who? And that's when Solo goes up to him, squares up to him a bit before he gives him a hug. And that is when we get the Tama Tonga
Says, I
debut,
love you,
guys.
brother.
Yep,
Hugs him, says, I love
that's
you,
when
brother.
another part of the Samoan family finally debuts, which we knew that it was coming. He's been signed for what, a couple weeks now or something.
Yeah,
And
he's been signed for a couple
they
weeks.
give Jimmy a beat down, brother.
Oh, that was
in
a
the middle of
bloodline
that
beat
ring.
down. Oh my god, they assaulted him.
Yeah, and Paul was just like
mortified.
Yeah.
Mortified at what was occurring in front of him.
I want to cover everything that we see from this point on, and then I want to, get into it because holy moly, okay. So we see this, right? And then we're just like, what is happening? What? Roman's not here. Like, what is going on? Paul tries to call Roman. Solo says, no, not so fast, brother. Takes
and I
that
threw
phone
it on the ground
and stomps all over it. And we were like, oh my God.
I was
okay.
shook. I was shook.
Later in the show, we see Kayla Braxton outside of the trainer's room and she wants to get an update on Jimmy. And that is when Paul Heyman comes out and she asks him, what's going on? Like, what happened out there? Is Jimmy okay? And Paul says, no. And as Kayla's trying to get more details about the status of Jimmy, Tama Tonga rolls up looking good, and he just instills that fear in Paul. Like, you would think that he just saw a ghost, and he lets Paul know this was orders from the tribal chief. And Paul is very confused because he's like, wait a second, not my tribal chief. This didn't come from Roman, because if it did, I would have known. And that's when Solo rolls up. And that is when I was like, haters gonna hate. Because, girl, I was wrong about Solo. Well, I didn't say it was going to be Solo or nobody to take the title off him. I did say if it was a bloodline member, it was going to be Solo. But I did say that Solo was eventually going to become the new tribal chief. And
you did say that.
Honey, that's what it's looking like. It is looking like Solo is like, you know what? Our tribal chief that I have been loyal to for the past year and a half couldn't get the job done on Sunday. And now he's going to go sit at home doing nothing and thinking that I'm supposed to still take orders from him. No, honey, I'm the new tribal chief. And I say this is like the perfect thing for Solo, because we've been talking about how they've done virtually nothing with him, especially after he beat John Cena, which was a huge mistake. And I still think it was bad that they haven't done anything with him. But if this was the plan, then I am all for it. Not just because it proves that I was right a year ago. It just is like, this is the perfect, I feel like the perfect direction for Solo right now.
It is the perfect. He needs to be doing something destructive with this, and this is what I'm saying to how the show is just evolved so much, is that Paul said the consequences or actions of consequences, whatever thing. And then Solo legitimately uses the same line on Paul and Jimmy to not only attack Jimmy, but then introduce what seems like the start of his own mini bloodline within the bloodline. Like, I'm sorry, it's just so well done. And for anyone who said the bloodline story is far from over, all right, now I know what you're talking about. If this is the type of stuff we're getting with the bloodline story, keep it going till I die. I don't care, because this is cinema.
I think this is better than what we thought was going to happen, because when we were talking about, okay, what is going to happen at WrestleMania? How is this going to go down? And I was saying, okay, we're going to see Rock is going to get the pin on night 1. I said it was going to be on Cody, and that was going to frustrate Roman, because we had kind of seen moments of tension between Roman and Rock over the last last few months since The Rock became a part of the story. So then we said, okay, night 2, we're going to see that The Rock is going to turn on Roman. We're going to see that maybe he was in cahoots with Cody the whole time, or we're just going to see he's like, okay, you can't be my tribal chief. You just lost, and you had everything stacked in your favor. That didn't happen. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that, just because I was a little disappointed about it. But I'm fine with that, because I think we are finally seeing the makings of, as you said, Solo's going to have his own mini bloodline. Probably going to be him, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu. But there's also rumors of them bringing in Tama Tonga's brother. So that's possible, but we don't know for sure yet. But we do know that Jacob Fatu has told people that he was signed by WWE. So if there's truth there, we're just going to have to sit and wait until that happens. At that moment, though, we're going to see 3-on-3, because we're going to see Roman have a babyface turn, which we've also been talking about happening for the past year, that we thought that was going to be like the end game, basically.
Yeah, they mentioned it, and then we're like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And it made more sense when we were talking about, okay, maybe we're going to see a Rock versus Roman thing. You had to have, like, you had to figure out who was going to be the babyface. And given the run that The Rock was just on, it's kind of like, I don't know that you could turn him babyface again, because, brother, people are behind that final boss.
They're behind it. But did you see that Moana live performance? That man was dancing like a whole ass face.
Yeah. So,
so he can do. Yeah. Get a man who can do both.
So it's possible, though, that like we get a Roman babyface turn and The Rock is still on his side. You know what I mean? So like that works out. And we're going to see, I would assume, if Jimmy keeps getting treated like this by Solo or something, we're going to see Jay possibly reunite with his brother. And isn't that what we all want to see anyway? Don't we want to see an Usos reunion? Because as much as I love, the Solo runs by both of them, and people are going to still talk about how Jimmy's the Jannetty. Come on, brother, whatever.
He's not, but okay.
They're better together,
so much better.
So I am very excited about this, and I think that when we look back on everything that led up to this point, people need to be grateful for the pivot, because if we didn't get the pivot, we wouldn't be in this situation either. So it's like, even beyond getting the Cody versus Roman match at Mania, Cody winning, whatever, like beyond that, if we had gotten Roman versus Rock, what do you think would we be doing right now? Like
I don't want to think about that.
But you know what I mean? It's just like, I think that we're in such a better situation right now. And it's such a better direction, I think, for the bloodline, because the bloodline had gotten stagnant basically until The Rock was able to do the pivot with the story and become a part of the bloodline. Before that, it was just like, like it wasn't nearly as hot as it was a year ago leading up to WrestleMania with Sami Zayn versus Roman and all of that. So this, I feel like, makes you kind of feel that feeling again that we had during that like really hot era, at the end of 2022 into 2023 with the bloodline. So I'm excited about this. And I just, I said on Twitter I wanted to be acknowledged, because guys, I predicted this a year ago. Literally. If you are not someone who has watched the channel for that long, I'm trying to find the clips, but it's like we have so many clips that I'm like, oh goodness.
Go subscribe to check them out.
Yeah, so I want to go through and find it, because I know we talked about it so much. Like I said, I was willing to die on that hill. Like Solo was going to be the guy. The next tribal chief was not Jey Uso. It was Jimmy. I'm sorry, Solo. It's Jimmy. Solo.
Plot twist, it is Jimmy.
Yeah, it's Jimmy. It's Paul Heyman, actually. So that was just kind of cool, because then it's like I had a couple people tweeting me being like, yeah, we know, we remember you saying. So I was like, that was just that was a kind of cool moment. Exactly. Thank you, Christopher.
We're starting the hashtag Sara knows ball. Sara knows
Yeah.
ball tweet. We got to get that hashtag going
It
because
just
that's
took
one, hilarious, and two,
it
very
took
spot on.
a lot longer than I was hoping for, but at least, I mean, it kind of sounds cooler to be able to say that I was right about a storyline a year ago rather than like, oh, I predicted it a month ago, and it's like, okay, girl, like,
Yeah, it's like cool. You could have seen that amount. Yeah, but no, now with everything that happened and with his losing streak, and you said a year ago, like I don't know, it's pretty good, Sara. I think it's pretty
thanks,
freaking good. So
thanks,
I gotta
and
acknowledge you there.
I'm
With
just
this,
excited. I think this is going to be a really good storyline. Like
this
I think this is a better way
play.
also to introduce more bloodline members. You know, I think that bringing in Tama and possibly Jacob Fatu, like I feel like they would be such better put into a heel situation than a baby face. And also they're not going to get lost in the shuffle because they're going to
No,
have like prominent roles in this new bloodline storyline.
yeah,
That we're not going to just be like, oh, they're the newest members, whatever, you know, and they're
yeah.
just listening to whatever Roman has to say. I
Mhm.
think that's pretty cool. So I did want to say, I wanted to make sure because Jay was asking if there was going to be, if we thought that there was going to be a civil, like
I don't
bloodline civil
need no
war.
civil. Whoa, yeah.
I assume so. I don't know if we'll push it out as far as Mania, but I feel like that's the way to do it.
War games.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what everyone's saying. War games
Well,
have
maybe
rocks.
like at first, but like because I mean, they teased Rock versus Cody, which I would not be mad about a Rock versus Cody at
Oh, that'd be
WrestleMania
so
41.
good.
I
So
would
good.
love that because again, it's another storyline a year and a half in the making. You know, like to me, that's cool.
You can
Um,
build it up.
I think it would be better suited to. I mean, it's so hard because then it's like trying to think of how The Rock would be involved in this bloodline stuff. And it's like he would have to be the heel against Cody, but then him being a heel in the bloodline storyline doesn't make sense. Like, I think he'd be better suited as a babyface with Roman in this
Mm-hmm.
situation. So it's hard. But yeah, I do think we're gonna see something with these, like, you know, the families kind of feuding or whatever. So oh yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank
Did
you.
you also know? Did you also notice this is pretty cool? So Tamatonga is the son of Haku,
Yes.
and Rikishi and Haku were tag team partners during a little bit of a run
Mhm.
in 2000 or 2001, I think.
Yeah.
And now the sons are like that's why the bloodline story is the best story in wrestling because it's not just you know, a script that they're handed.
Yeah.
Like it actually means something.
Yeah.
There's family involved. There's so much more that goes into it than what you see on screen, and that's what makes for the most genuine, of stories to be told.
Yeah. So I think this is like something that even Roman fans who are disappointed about him losing the title just embrace this right now because
Oh, yeah.
they're like I said, I would be so disappointed if Cody had lost. So I'm not hating on anybody for being like upset that Roman lost. But I think you have to think about how good the situation is afterwards and how monumental it could be if they bring him back in August as a babyface.
Oh my
Imagine
god.
the pop for that. Like
Oh my
it would
god.
be such a different run for him as a babyface too, because the last time he was the big dog in the yard, you know, and it's like no one. I mean, he had Roman fans, obviously, but a lot of people hated him.
Hated the
So,
big dog. I hated it.
yeah, it was corny.
It
So
was
like,
so corny.
but imagine tribal chief babyface Roman Reigns. Like that is something I could get behind. You know, I mean, I like Tribal Chief Roman. I just didn't love everything about his title reign. But obviously, I've said multiple times how good he has been as the Tribal Chief, like during that time. So I would be curious to see how far he's come in that regard as a babyface, but with the Tribal Chief era, like aura. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So moving on. I mean, we don't really got to talk too much about this because it was a squash. um, but
Yeah.
Braun Breaker is officially on SmackDown because him and Baron Corbin did lose their NXT Tag Team Championships on Tuesday to Axiom and
Nathan Frazier.
Nathan Frazier. Okay, I could not remember. I was like, I could see him, but I couldn't remember his name. So Braun Breaker is officially a part of SmackDown, and of course, he's gonna be getting that squash treatment. And unfortunately, Braun had to squash Cameron Grimes. I feel bad for Cameron Grimes.
Honestly. I do too. I do too, because I like Cameron Grimes. I think he could have a nice little role in like the mid card with the U.S. title at some point. The one thing I will say that I really only have to say about Braun Breaker is that clothesline that he does, where he just becomes the Flash, running the ropes. It's mesmerizing to watch, and I legitimately believe that if he actually stuck his arm out and did a legit clothesline, I think he would kill the man.
Probably.
He's going that fast.
Yeah.
So it makes sense he's just doing a little like doink like that, because with that speed, I legitimately think if you hit someone with a lariat clothesline, I think their head comes off at that top speed. It's absolutely insane.
I'm really curious to see like where he's gonna go, because obviously we know he's like a star in the making, and so I'm just wondering how they're going to build that up with him, because he is a babyface right now. So it's like, okay, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna go after Logan Paul? Like, what's he gonna do?
He could.
But then also with Cameron Grimes, I just wonder what happened.
Like, just timing. Timing's a bitch.
Maybe I just feel I'm like, what happened? Then we see a women's squash match, because we see Chelsea Green. She is on SmackDown, so she's doing double duty. After finally getting an apology from the hotel.
Finally.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Did you see her outfit too?
Sara.
Like,
Sara, I was at this place in the North End last night where a woman legitimately was wearing a dress that was held up by like silly string. It was that short.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green was dressing so conservative compared to what I saw last night.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Chelsea Green was kicked out of a hotel during Mania week because the security said that she looked like an escort. They believed that she was an escort. So she got kicked out of the Plaza Hotel. And so she was embarrassed, obviously, and that is why Drew McIntyre made that line about her at the Slammies saying like, Chelsea, if you don't settle down, I'm gonna have to have security escort you out of the building. Drew, I'm sorry,
king shit.
I'm obsessed with him. And so she finally got her apology. So a queen is thriving. And then she also got to reunite with Piper Niven. So they came out demanding. Yes. So they wanted to have a match where they could look better than Chelsea did against Jade on Raw. Nick Aldis, though, doesn't see it the same way. And of course, throws Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill to them. And they get squashed in 2 seconds. So, I'm kind of here for this Bianca and Jade pairing. I'm kind of here for it, actually. I wasn't sure about it because I was like, it seems like they're trying to make Jade like this solo star, but I'm okay with her partnering up with Bianca. And it feels like, from what I've seen or what I've heard, they want this. Like, Bianca was pushing for it. Like, they want to be a dominant force in the tag team division. So I'm like, okay.
Well, if fine by me. Bianca really hasn't done yet is the tag division. She's exceptional as a single star.
Yeah.
And we really haven't seen her in a tag role unless it had to do with, a story feuding with like Damage Control or another faction. And it's a great way to bring Jade in too. She doesn't have to go, the full match, and, builds an ally for her with Bianca. And how awesome would it be to just throw the tag titles on them and have them go on just a dominant streak of just domination, and then whatever happens after that happens. I just would I need it, because I don't really care to see Jade in long matches right now. A lot of people that I see on Twitter complaining like, I thought she was supposed to be a star and she's only having squash matches and 3 moves of doom. And it's like, do you guys watch the product? Like, do you know that that's literally the formula for how to build a star, is just literally have them kick so much ass and then be Teflon, and you do nothing about it. That's how you build a star in wrestling. This is not new. So to see that with Jade, like, I get it, you maybe thought differently because she came from AEW, but that's false hope. That's just false.
I think I'm more confused about the talk about Jade online being like, oh yeah, she's thriving, like, and because they're only having her go out there in small matches and she's not really doing a lot and covering up her weaknesses and whatever. I'm like, why do you guys think she sucks in the ring so bad? Like, I don't really understand that,
I don't
because
get
it's
it.
like, we understand that she's newer to the business, so she isn't, like, she doesn't have 10 years under her belt, but like neither does Bianca. So I'm like, I'm kind of confused. Like, I'm not saying that they're similar, but like, you can't use that as an argument against her when some of your favorites don't even have 10 years in
Exactly.
experience. So it's like, okay. And I think that if you're someone who watched her in AEW and maybe you didn't think she was that great in AEW, she had how many months of training at the PC? Like, come on.
And also, look at who a majority of the matches, not all of them, but a majority of the matches that Jade had in AEW were against women that were, indies for the most part, or
Mm,
like Ring of Honor that, were carried over with the
yeah.
purchase. Like, she's not facing stars. She's not facing veterans, or
Yeah.
they're veterans, but they're not on the big WWE stage. So, and I liked what she did in AEW. She put on some good matches with Taya Valkyrie. That was a good little feud. There's another one I can't think of why. Oh, Ruby Soho,
Mm-hmm.
Ruby Riot for WWE peeps. Like those were good matches and they didn't need to be long. Sometimes you don't need an 11, 12, 15-minute match to get the point across.
I don't think that we've seen enough from her to even jump to any conclusions about how good she is or how bad she is in the ring. Like, we haven't seen a lot from her because she's doing tag team
Mm,
stuff right now. So like, how can you just assume that she's bad or whatever? It's just weird. I
exactly.
don't know. It's just very weird stuff. Um okay, let's see. I want to see if there's any comments. Um Oh, yeah, I know who Aces and Eights are.
Yes. I love Aces and Eights. I watched the whole history of them on YouTube.
Um, Fighting the Bloodline, that'd be cool.
That would be
Um,
so cool, cause that's like Bully Ray not for you, Sarah, but for the peeps who don't know, it's like Bully Ray, Mr. Anderson, not our friend here, but the legit wrestler. Um, Devon was in it, Taz was in it. There are a lot of big names that were in it, and they ran TNA for a while. I could
mhm.
absolutely see a parallel, for the Bloodline to do the same thing in WWE. I think that would be awesome.
Christopher says Cody versus Rock at SummerSlam. Cody wins. Can't happen. I'm sorry. Team Rock versus Team Roman at Survivor Series leads to the Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 41 for the head of the table. Cody versus Rock at SummerSlam, I don't think can happen because he's filming a movie. I like
Yeah.
this train of thought though, and I feel like if he were available, that would probably be the most ideal scenario. And it makes sense for Rock to really only be on the big four. So, yeah. Calvin says Haku and Rikishi were in a feud with The Undertaker and Kane.
Ooh, Brothers of
That,
Destruction versus
yeah,
Brothers of Samoa.
scary era
That
of
is some scary
Kane.
ass tag. Oh, that was a really scary era of Kane. Because that was like yeah.
He says that the babyface run for Roman will be under Triple H's creative, not Vince's. Yeah, I
See,
think
and
that'll be better.
that's so key. That's so
Yeah,
critical.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, hold on. Let's see. For fun, could you guys rank these women wrestlers by best in the ring? By best in ring worker, Eva, Ronda, and Naya. Oh,
no,
best
Naya,
is Naya.
Ronda,
I
Eva
feel
Marie.
I
Not even
I
close.
I would almost switch Ronda and Eva. I would almost
No
put Eva.
way.
You know why? Because like, I know you didn't really watch Total Divas in the early stages. But
I
the
didn't.
reason is because Eva was actually taking time out and was training with Brian Kendrick. So it's like she was getting special treatment because she wanted to live in LA and she didn't want to be in Florida to train. But like, to me, I'm like, okay, I don't know how much she did, but we know that she was doing it. And that's the only reason why I would maybe give her a little bit of like this much of a leg up over Ronda, because Ronda just keeps complaining about how she didn't get enough time to rehearse. And I'm just like, you are making wrestling sound so lame when you talk like that, because it's like,
Yeah.
How many people do you think rehearse? First of all, they're not going through every single thing that they're going to do in a match. That's what you're wanting. But
That's
you
the
were
old school days. That doesn't happen now.
yeah, that's not no. Like certain things that you want to do and the finish. Like I don't understand. But because it felt like Eva put in a little bit more work than Ronda, that's the only reason I would maybe consider putting her above her.
Ronda Rousey though is a legit badass, and Eva Marie is just
Yes.
worked out. I don't.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
I'm not.
putting Ronda 2. That's my reasoning for putting Ronda 2. That's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Then we move on to Bayley, who gets to have her little run in the ring as the new women's champion.
Good.
She comes in and she talks about winning the title, of course, over her friend. She thanks fans for sticking with her for all these years because it's not easy to always remain motivated and happy and content and like whatever in this position, especially when you are feuding with a friend, which she thought Io was, but that's not what it looks like. So she says that she kind of goes into this whole thing about how she wants to like set up like something to figure out who's going to be her opponent. But that is when Queen Tiffy decides, okay, wait a second. I'm going to come out here because she thought that Bayley was going to be proposing an open challenge. So Tiffany says, I accept because I didn't think it was okay that I wasn't at WrestleMania. So I will gladly take you up on your offer. But Bayley's like, LOL, this is awkward because actually I was going to give someone else a chance at the championship. And that was Naomi. And so because of that, we see Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton again. And whoever wins, they get to have a match against Bayley on SmackDown next week for the championship. This was a good match. But I think yeah, so it was fine. I liked it. I like both Naomi and Tiffany. I was a little bummed that it had to be Naomi because Naomi won. But we know that Naomi versus Bayley is I mean, that's a pretty good feud to start with, especially because of how they intertwined in Bayley's feud with Damage Control and whatever. So, interesting though, because we were just talking earlier about babyface versus babyface. Here's that match.
Exactly.
So
never say never.
Yeah. So I am curious to see where Tiffany will fall in eventually because we know, of course, she's gonna get a shot eventually. So I'm excited to see that because yeah, I love Tiffany and it's Tiffy time, right?
What do you want to what do you think about this quote here?
I love it. So so I saw a tweet that was saying, or whoever it was, I don't remember who was claiming it, but they're saying that the current front runners for Money in the Bank this year is Tiffany Stratton for the women, which I'm here for. I love that. I think she would thrive with the briefcase.
God, she would treat it like a purse.
But then Sami Zayn for the men.
Not Sami anymore. He went Intercontinental.
Well, but but what I'm saying in general is like absolutely not. Like, why would Sami need the briefcase? It needs to be like LA Knight or something. That's what it needs. It needs to be.
I don't even think it's LA Knight.
I don't think it needs to be him either. But I'm saying it would make more sense.
You're saying a guy like that?
Yes, like
just okay.
Yeah, I don't even know who I would say at this point for the men.
Like maybe Gable.
Oh my God, no! Don't even.
I wouldn't mind Gable.
I would.
Really? What about KO?
I don't like Gable.
What about KO?
He doesn't need it either. I think it's hard because it's like, we are a couple months away from Money in the Bank, so there's like so much that can change. But I feel like it depends too because it kind of felt like with Vince was just giving it to like whoever he thought was going to be funny or like who he liked, but it felt like with Triple H, he was kind of trying to give it to the people that he felt like deserved it or needed it to kind of like catapult them into the main event scene, hence why Io and Damian got it. So if he follows that path, then it's kind of like, okay, well, who? Like, what if it's like Braun Breaker? You know what I mean? Like, would I be surprised about that? Not necessarily. But yeah, I think it's just hard because there isn't really a guy in that position like a year ago. If we were talking about LA Knight, then yeah, we thought LA Knight should have been the one to win last year. But he's already had a title shot against Roman So it's like, okay, do we need to see him then win the briefcase to be able to cash in? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I see more like a little bit of someone who's been up there for a little bit. I could see KO just because you could have him have a run with it, and I think he'd bring some light to it. I'm trying to think of some others like off the top of my head. Bobby
Christopher
Lashley.
Christopher says Braun Breaker. Jay says Dom. Dominic would be interesting.
Money
Uh
in the Bank is going to Rey Mysterio. That's how he gets his one more title run.
Christopher
Or
says maybe Carmelo Hayes, possibly, but it could also be Trick Williams because I believe Trick is gonna be. Oh no, Trick is gonna be champion. I believe he's gonna be Ilya. I don't know. Honestly, it's really hard to say because if they're gonna follow that, then I would be like, if you're asking me, then I would be like Gunther.
Well, that's who Almighty A also.
Yes, King. Yes.
There you
And that's
go.
the easiest way for him to be in the title picture. I would love this too. Don't even get me started. I love me some Finn Balor. I would love that because then that gets that inner turmoil feud too. But that's also like if Damian were going to have the championship for a long time, and I don't think he will because I think Drew is going to win it back at Clash of the Castle in Scotland. So,
absolutely.
So I don't know.
Is.
I don't think Finn getting it would make much sense if that's how it goes down.
I also want Chelsea Green.
Yeah,
would be great.
but she's serving a role at this point, so it's like, it's kind of hard. I would love for it to be Tiffany. So
yeah,
and imagine if she would turn it pink. Oh my god, I could buy my own.
If she treats it like a person, it's pink.
Yes.
I legitimately would LOL.
I love when people like decorate them and like personalize it. Like I know that Damian was like the first one to do it in a while. But I actually loved that, and imagine how much money they made. I saw people carrying that briefcase around at Mania, so I'm like,
Sara, I almost bought one. You were there.
I know, but it wasn't a Senior Money in the Bank. I was talking about like I saw people with the Senior, but like they've never done one for the women. Like make one pink.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so cute, and I'm here for it. I'm not mad at that as long as Drew had the title for a while. I wouldn't want him to do it like immediately, but that would be like the ultimate like
He did it in Scotland.
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think I think that happens before Mania. So
you mean
I'm sorry, before Money in the Bank, yeah.
I'm just thinking like if you really want to get like nuclear.
No.
I think
no. Can't no.
Sorry, I'm an agent of chaos.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
I'm an
not.
agent of chaos.
I just had one more thing I wanted to talk about because I have something to complain about. So you'll see. So we see that there is going to be a crowning of the number one contenders to face A-Town Down Under for the tag team championships, and it is announced to be the Street Profits versus New Catch Republic versus Legado del Fantasma versus Authors of Pain. And my main thing is, where's Pretty Deadly?
Oh, here we go.
Where's Pretty Deadly? That's what I want to know. I just want to know. Why are they being left off of this again? If this were on Raw, I would be having the same complaint about Imperium. So where's Pretty Deadly in this? They were literally just introducing the tag team 6-pack challenge at WrestleMania, complaining about how they weren't on Mania, and now you're going to have a tag team title match, and you're not even going to have them in it. Really?
You see what you're doing, WWE? You can't be doing this to Sara because here's the thing. I'd love to sit here and say you're a mark for them and all this, but you're right. You're right. I want to see them too, and I want to see them.
Stop it right now, Vinny. Stop it.
You're listening to two people who I won't say I'm not like Sara where they are my boys, but like I fucks. Like they know ball. Like that they have some of the best heel work. They're just so entertaining, and I think the best thing about them is when they're not in the ring being entertaining. Their backstage stuff and vignettes and all that are some of the most creative shit I have seen as a wrestling fan that they need to be a constant on the show. And thank God for Triple H being in charge where I see a potential and future there with them. But guys, I mean, we're gonna get this every week if we don't put Pretty Deadly on. Is Sarah complaining? Well, there it is, Sarah. They're gonna be over
They're
because
heels though, so they're not really supposed to be over. I feel like they could
the other
be
side.
exactly the same as they are and be baby faces. I think part of it is that they just gave up on them. And the tag team titles were kind of like stagnant, but now they're split. So I feel like there's no reason to not have them involved in some way. And there's 2 heel teams in the mix for here. So it's like you can't be like, oh, it's because A-Town Down Under are heels and they're the champions. They can't have another heel team against them. Okay, why is Legato in there and why is AOP in there? Very easily could have taken AOP out and put Pretty Deadly. Like, are you serious?
AOP shouldn't even be in there. They're in NXT now. Okay,
Who
they're
is
in
who?
AOP. They carrying Cross and AOP.
Oh,
They
right. Yeah.
invaded NXT on Tuesday.
Well, and they
So
haven't really done anything other than that match at Mania. So it was like, to me, it just doesn't make any sense that Pretty Deadly aren't in it. I don't care if you don't like them or if you think they're lame or you want to say anything because they're flamboyant. I don't care.
that's the point,
Yes, you can. You
Vinny.
can take them
Oh,
seriously,
sorry. We
Vinny.
literally thought the same thing. That's the point, Vinny, is that they look so ridiculous and you can't take them serious, but then at the end of the day when they do what they do, you take them serious because they'll get the win somehow or they're going to make you laugh or I mean, they got Wade Barrett saying stuff. Like they're so good at what they do and it's tough because you have wrestling fans that don't get that mentality or don't get that style where you can be a little flamboyant and it works. Like I think they're just like afraid to like
It's
them.
it's
You
just I
know?
don't
I
know.
don't I
Well,
don't
yes, because I mean, if we really want to get into a deep conversation about it, obviously men don't want to like men that are flamboyant. Which I still say is very ironic because you're literally watching buff, oiled up men in
just
spandex
touching
pretend
each other.
fighting. Yeah,
All they do is touch.
I'm not trying to disrespect wrestling
No, but
whatsoever,
you
obviously, but
want to
like at
put
the
it.
end of the day, that's what it is. And so it's
Yeah.
just like ironic that it's like because these guys wear like sleeved crop tops that people are like,
Kinda
oh,
stylish though. They kinda fuck. I would wear one.
okay.
Well, I'd have to have a
Um,
thinner stomach because I don't want the little bell to
but
go there.
I'm
The
just
little
speaking. You don't
tum-tum.
even have to be a fan of Pretty Deadly, but when you're thinking about like, okay, who should be in the tag team tourney, even if they weren't going to win, like it's just kind of obnoxious in my opinion that they weren't a part of it, but they put AOP in there like that,
Exactly.
or even
Like,
Legato. Like really, like the Pretty Deadly could have replaced them too. But like
kind
we
of a
knew that
backhand kind of a
they weren't
backhanded.
going to beat A-Town Down Under anyway.
No. No, that's not the point. The point is not for them to win. And, I mean, if you don't like them and wanna see them get beat up, here's the thing, guys. They're fantastic at selling getting beaten up, and all the that all those shenanigans that go into selling. Like they're so good at it. Look at them in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. That was one of the funniest ways to start the Battle Royal, like everything. And they were out in 5 seconds, but goddamn, we saw them and they did the job. Like imagine that on a grander scale, the opportunities that are there. You got to
Well,
think like that.
and why do you think that they were given lots of opportunities in NXT? I mean, we can't discredit like Shawn Michaels' eye for talent.
He just
Like,
got named second in command to talent relations, I'm pretty sure.
oh really?
Yeah, he just got a
Oh,
promotion.
because
So like,
that guy left. The main guy
uh,
left.
yeah,
So, yeah, I don't know. I was just disappointed in that, and I knew that most of you weren't going to agree with me. But I'm just thinking about like when we're talking about tag teams and getting a title shot, they were literally just at WrestleMania complaining how they weren't in the match, and they weren't even in a match to be qualify, and now they're not getting in another one. So it's just kind of like, okay, really, like.
what are we doing?
Whatever. But anyway, that was SmackDown.
That was SmackDown. It was a good episode.
Just have to say the irony in that, Vinny. The irony in Shawn being your favorite, but you can't get behind Pretty Deadly because they're outfits. But you love Shawn shaking his little booty and his assless chaps.
Well, because he's a sexy boy. All right,
Whatever.
he's a
Pretty Deadly are
sexy
pretty and
boy.
scary. They're
They're
deadly to
pretty
me.
deadly. Pretty deadly.
Yeah.
There's so many
I'm so bummed
bangers.
that they weren't at WWE Worlds.
They would have thrived there too.
I would have
They
made
would have
time for
been
them.
so funny.
I would have made
I would,
time.
I would, I would, I would have stayed around. I would have absolutely
Yeah.
stayed around for Pretty
I
Deadly.
really wanted to meet them so bad, but
That would have been so fun. Maybe we'll have them on the show one day. Who knows?
maybe.
We still
They're
gotta,
like I feel like they're too witty for me. Like, I don't think I could keep up with them.
no, you could. You're not giving yourself the credit that you deserve, whatever the word is. We need to still have that person we met on the at Wally Mania. We need to have them come on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry,
the NXT people.
Yeah, it took me a second.
Yeah, I met some NXT. Oh, we won't give names now in case it happens. And we want to, get that surprise going. But yeah, we met some, developing talent that are training at the Performance Center, and of all places, Wally Mania. So, and they're cool, and we'd love to have them on the show sometime and give you guys that type of content because we've interviewed wrestler before. We interviewed my dude Brett, but with how things are and Mania and that stuff. Now that season's over, which boy howdy, that road to WrestleMania season is so long and just exhausting. And now that we're in it, we're in a different season. Kind of heading to Money in the Bank. So we'll see how that goes. And you want spin the belt? There it is. And as I spin the belt, I'll tell you guys thank you. Thank you for tuning into this edition of the show and to tell you to make sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification to know anytime we go live and also when we post. All right. The videos now are kind of a little bit more important, especially after the witch over here, Sara, is making just absolute cinema, whatever you want to call it, predictions with her topics, and they happened months before, actually a year before, as she mentioned. So go check out the evidence and see those videos along with other stuff in our archives. And then for other takes that maybe they don't make it here, but we have said it online, so there's proof. Go follow us on the social links in the descriptions below. And then we got a WWE shop, which by the way, I need that code. The WWE shop one because I need to buy some stuff for my nieces and nephews. Oh my what was I gonna? I'll tell you after the show because we got to wrap it up here. But yeah, go check those out. We'll be back on Tuesday. No, never. Tuesday we'll be back for the Raw Rewind, and that's it. I'm a little bit royal rambling here, but it's all right because that's wrestling. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Tuesday. Yes.